A week ago today, Disney made the announcement that they're moving on from Bob Chapek, that he is fired, and they're bringing back Bob Iger. You know, the guy who mysteriously stepped down right before COVID hit, right before the park shut down, right before the box office shut down, and then is just ready to come back and take over when the company's at its lowest point it's been in 2 decades. But although this was and has become the main talking point, something that's been lost in this entire discussion has been Disney's failures. That fourth quarter earnings report that was so disastrous, it ended with Bob Chapek getting fired. And in the midst of that, in the midst of saying the parks are doing bad, the box office is disappointing, one thing he also talked about was streaming. And this fact, Disney Plus keeps growing fast, but streaming loses $1.5 billion. That's right. In 3 months, the streaming services for Disney have lost $1.5 billion. And now, to add on top of that, the reports that are now out there about something Bob Chapek may or may not have been doing. According to these reports, he was doing this. That $1.5 billion may just be the tip of the iceberg, that maybe it's been much worse than that, and he was trying to hide it. Ousted Disney CEO Bob Chapek reportedly cooked the books to hide Disney Plus financial losses. According to a new report, recently ousted Disney CEO Bob Chapek is alleged to have engaged in a series of deceptive accounting practices in order to hide just how much money the company has truly lost in service of developing their signature streaming service. As per a collective decision by the House of Mouse board of directors, following his poor showing, we know about this terrible fourth quarter earnings call. In his place, they chose to reinstate Bob Iger. They put out a big statement on Bob Iger, blah, blah, blah. The word on the exact reasons for the board's loss of confidence in Chapek have not been publicly detailed. Many have speculated it was related to his abysmal handling of the Florida Parental Rights and Education Act. Yes, when he said, we don't want to get political, but then proceeded to immediately bend the knee to the woke LGBT activists, to immediately say to the state of Florida, we're going to fight you tooth and nail. Disney as a company is going to make it a priority to make sure that the government can sexualize kindergartners, whether or not their parents want it. That's the family-friendly Disney. And as a result, their stock tanked. Their stock took an absolute dive and ended up the lowest we've seen in nearly 20 years. The worst day they've had in 20 years and a decade low for Disney. Between turning Disney into a full-on political entity, constantly flip-flopping on which side of the debate he truly supported, and basing his moves off Twitter's trending topic tab, Chapek's ineffective and indecisive leadership during this period has drawn widespread criticism from across the political spectrum. But it seems the wild ride in Florida was not the sole reason, as the former CEO is said to have been actively deceiving its investors. During the company's Investor Day 2020, Chapek assured those in attendance the company expected Disney Plus to achieve profitability in fiscal 2024. However, as per insiders who spoke to the Wall Street Journal, that's where this is from, guys. Like, this is not from like a random 4chan or something else, right? It's not that. This is from the Wall Street Journal talking about what Disney executives were worried about, what the board was worried about. Spoke to the Wall Street Journal. This is a near impossible goal to achieve due to the fact the company has in reality lost more than $8.5 billion since Disney Plus launched and has posted bigger operating losses on each of the past 4 quarters. So each quarter, it continued to get worse. They continue to lose more and more money on the streaming services. Furthermore, in order to keep the warning signals from blaring, Chapek allegedly took to airing some Disney Plus originals, such as The Mysterious Benedict Society and the Doogie reboot, on the company's other networks. Doesn't that sound like what they just did with Andor when they put it on ABC, when they put it on Fox or FX and Freeform and all their other networks? Doesn't that sound like something they just did with Andor? That's weird. In doing so, Chapek could then list a given series budget on the respective networks' accounting sheets, thus making Disney Plus look more profitable than it truly was. This pitfall is said to have been the result of Chapek's unfettered spending on content, another subject which the former Disney executive supposedly deceived investors on. While speaking at the aforementioned Investor Day, Chapek assured attendees, in light of subscriber growth fueled in part by increased level of output, the company expected our content expense to be between $8 and $9 billion. But the Wall Street Journal's insiders claim, under Mr. Chapek, Disney has increased its content spending to around $30 billion this year alone. Neither Disney nor Chapek responded to any of this. Now, again, these are just reports. These are just things that people are saying. It's to the Wall Street Journal, not like it's to some like 4chan or Reddit thread. But still, those are some pretty serious allegations. Now, I actually don't know how much illegality there would be in something like that. You know, could you, because he did that, because he went ahead and put on another network, could he actually legally be able to do that and write it off as something else other than a Disney Plus streamer? Like, this number already is really fucking bad. $1.5 billion in streaming losses. That is horrendous. And now it just continues to get worse and worse for Bob Chapek as reports like this come out. Now, of course, Bob Iger's coming in, likely just the way he planned to do it. He probably planned to walk away when he knew COVID was coming, when he knew things would be bad, and now he's stepping in now to maybe take credit for the rebound that Disney wants to have with all of this. When it comes to woke ideology, woke nonsense, Bob Iger's the one who started a lot of this shit. That is not changing. That will never change with Bob Iger at the helm, just like it was never going to change with Bob Chapek at the helm. But if this stuff is true, that could be really, really bad for Bob Chapek in the future. And if this is true, it tells us that the reality at Disney is even worse than what they're letting on. The actual numbers at Disney could be even worse than this. It could be worse than losing $1.5 billion in just 3 months. That's how bad things are for Disney Plus. That's how bad things are for woke Disney.
Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.